This video is dedicated to all of those people in lockdown. Those of you who see this in a month's time, 6 months' time, a year's time, this is the COVID-19 epidemic of 2020. And this video is now a long-form story, something that actually, a TV show that I made in 2014. It was the very last television show that I made for South African television. It has never been on YouTube. It has been on my website, forexoverland.com, for a while. Now, just those of you who don't know and want to watch more of my shows, I have on my website separated my adventure shows, my Africa shows, my USA shows, my builds, my Africa builds, my different vehicles, my accessories, my reviews, even my aviation stuff. I've separated it all into massive playlists. There are over 300 videos. Most of them you probably haven't seen, but you have to register on forexoverland.com. It is free. There's no charge, but you do have to register. Well, this is one of those that people that have been onto and been enjoying viewing like that have probably seen it before, but YouTubers, you haven't. So this is it's about 50 minutes long. It's an adventure I took in Namibia, as I said, 2014, but at the time I was living in England, and I remember I did a trip on an absolute shoestring budget. We had no money at all, but we actually had a brilliant time. I was driving a Chevy Trailblazer, and my friend Greg was driving a Land Cruiser 76. I think you will enjoy the show. This is Cosmos all over the country, particularly in this part between Johannesburg and Durban. As the winter approaches, Cosmos blooms. It's actually not an endemic flower. Comes from South America, I understand. But the big ones are girls, and the white ones are boys, and the red ones are undecided. I'm Andrew St Pierre White. Join me as I share my passion for building four-wheel drive trucks and then travelling to the remotest parts of the world. It's a new vehicle to give it a review. I kind of know if I'm going to enjoy my time with the vehicle within the first 20-30 minutes. And in this particular case, I am sure that I'm going to have a good time. This is the new Chevrolet Trailblazer. Now, the Trailblazer is, well, it's no fireworks, is it? I mean, it's a family SUV, like so many others. It even looks, similar. I actually quite like the look of this one. I've driven the previous models of the Trailblazer and liked it. That was in the States in 2005. And now to Namibia, taking it on a long stretch. I'm intending to do probably about 4,000 to 5,000 kilometers. Our first night stop. This is called Vistas. It's on the road between Arnhem-Vlei, the border, and Chronicals. A good day's drive if you're leaving from the reef. Ideal place to stop for an overnight before heading west. It's amazing about Namibia. Every time I come here, I'm greeted by these incredible roads, this beautiful yellow grass, sun going down, incredible skies. It really is unmatched. For me personally, the Kalahari has something that Namibia doesn't have. But then again, Namibia has something that the Kalahari doesn't have, and that is these incredible vistas. Anyway, we are in Southern Namibia to discover some, firstly, the Chev. Going to find out, so far 8 hours, going nicely, like it. Going to put it through some rough and smooth, see how it copes. exploring some areas that some well known, some not that well known, and experimenting with lots and lots of overlanding and camping toys. While I wait for my friend Greg van der Reis, you may know him from a previous series. He took me through the Richtersveld 2009. He knows the Richtersveld very well, but also Southern Namibia, so he'll be joining me here for my trip. And while I wait for him, just taking some pictures of the windmill. I just love windmill. Oh, really?
I just thought he's going to wait. Hey, man.
Yeah, good, man. Nice drive. When did you leave home?
6 o'clock this morning.
Oh, okay, you made reasonable.
But there were 12 stop and goes. And then, doing the right thing, I declared all my cameras at the border. And that took me an hour on the South African side, even though I had everything printed out. So I don't know if I'll do that again. Namibian side was 10 minutes.
For me, South African side was easy. Namibian side, picked my car clean. Well, not that bad, but...
Orange flavour.
Orange flavour.
Yeah, they like it.
Yeah. Back on the road again. Ah, gee, it's nice to be out on the open road. A bit of a trip today, in the car most of the day. Off to the Namib Desert Lodge. Lots and lots of standing water. Unbelievable. Absolutely everywhere. The greenery, the grass that is normally golden brown is, I wouldn't say lush green, but green. Lisbon Roadhouse. Yes. In the middle of absolutely nowhere. And it's perfect because it's 11:45 and my stomach's telling me it's 3:30. House between Betani.
And, no, actually between Helmeringhausen.
Yes.
And Maltehoe.
Maltehoe. I called it Maltehoe and I got shouted at. So okay, now we're gonna let you know if this little roadhouse in the middle of nowhere, just a speck on an open horizon, is any good, because we've ordered toasted sandwiches for 25 rands or
20
Namibian dollars. Sorry, 20 bucks. Yes, 20 bucks. Hamburgers are 25. Oh, we should have gone for a hamburger. That looks nice.
Smells good. Would you like anything with your chips, like tomato sauce?
Tomato sauce. Nice. Hit the spot perfectly, this. Right, that really was delicious and really good value too. It is my opinion that people that do this kind of travelling, especially those who are new to it, tend to feel that the destination is the destination. As for me, the destination is the travelling, if you know what I mean. Which means stopping when you see something interesting, like a Cape Cobra.
Slight bump, yeah.
Unfortunately, this case, a dead Cape Cobra. Well, you can actually see where it's where the tyre has hit it.
No, it's gone over the head, yeah.
It means leaving enough time between destinations to stop to smell the roses. Desert roses even. Like this derelict house. Namibia has a lot of them at the roadside, and I will be photographing them on this trip. And being in Namibia means long, straight roads and landscapes that change all the time. This is Cannon Lodge. Not to be confused with Canyon Lodge. There is also another lodge called Fish River Canyon Lodge. This is Cannon Lodge, not on the edge of Fish River Canyon, but very, very close. And we're spending the night here. It's very quiet. And the chalets, small, built out of rock, nestled between the boulders. It's very beautiful. Nicely done too. One day technology will create something like smelly vision, or the smelly net, where you scratch your computer screen and you get a smell, because the smell of the rain in the desert, there are no words to describe it. I'll get it. You filmed that?
Yes.
Like an old man. Because of 7 months sitting at a desk in England. Day 2, early morning sunrise at Cannon Lodge. Turns out that Cannon Lodge is not just Cannon Lodge, it's also Cannon Village that we arrived at yesterday, by mistake actually, and also of course the Cannon Roadhouse, a kind of mini museum. Fascinating. Anyway, this morning, from where we're standing now, the Fish River Canyon is that way. Basically, that's east, west of us, and from the sun deck at Cannon Lodge, you can see the edge of the rim of the canyon itself, and we're going to be going to see how close we can get to the actual edge of the rim, and then later today to the northern part. So we've actually got to drive all the way around to another lodge, which is located on the northern rim of the canyon itself. The world really is quite a small place. Less than a week ago, I was walking my dogs in a wood in England, and what made me think of it was that splash of green in the brown desert. I'm at the edge of the rim of the canyon here. I'm borderline between feeling vertigo and not feeling vertigo. And that's what actually makes Fish River Canyon unique. I've been to other similar canyons around the world, specifically in Utah and in Arizona, and in many respects they're actually more impressive. And its location is unique. It's not over commercialized. So the lodges are superb, the campsites mostly, there are lots of options, you know, they're wonderful, and not overly commercialized, and that's after all why you would come to a place like this, is to get away from commercialization. It's beautiful, these little yellow flowers all around Fish River Canyon, actual little devil thorns, and they've got many little spikes, and they get stuck in your shoes, and if they go through your foot, it's no fun. I'm in Southern Namibia with friend and fellow explorer Greg van der Reis. Nice drive. We've been on the road for just 4 days and have already tasted some fine lodging in the desert. We had a brief visit to the well-known southern rim of the Fish River Canyon, but now we're on our way to the lesser-known northern rim. And I'm doing my exploring in a new Chevy Trailblazer.
Chatting to Andrew on the radio, discussing, is it a flying lodge? Because it's out of the way. The average person is not going to come here.
Late afternoon, just like yesterday, late afternoon on the open road, and the storm clouds are gathering. Absolutely amazing colours in the desert. So lucky to see it, because so often the desert is just blue sky and brown earth, and we're hopefully going to be treated to another incredible afternoon like yesterday. The lodge we're going to now is called Fish River Lodge. It's a bit out of the way. I'm just trying to think now what kind of tourist this lodge caters to, because it's not on the normal tourist route. What I was trying to find was a place on the northern rim of the canyon to actually get a different view of the canyon. And wow, I mean, so far this looks so promising. In all my travels, I can't remember last when I've been witness to such an intense storm. And it is now much easier for me to understand the forces of nature at work that carved that canyon. Extraordinary. Wow, what a day. Early morning, Fish River Canyon Lodge. The management has told us what we're going to be doing today. We are being taken on their major excursion, which consists basically of sitting in the back of a game viewing vehicle for 7 hours, taken down some tortuous off-road tracks into the canyon. I'm not sure if I'm that keen on 7 hours sitting in the back of a Land Cruiser. Front of a Land Cruiser, different story. But anyway, what is exciting is getting into the basin, the river itself. It's not legal to just go walking and hiking in the Fish River Canyon. It's just too dangerous. You can, there are organized hiking trails, many of them, but you can't just go walking or driving. So this is the one and only opportunity that I will have of going down and actually seeing the bottom of the canyon. That excites me. The other part of this, not so much. They call this the 3-hour morning massage. Good for your health, good for the lungs, and we'll see if it's good for my nerves, because I understand the track is extremely steep. In fact, you can buy a t-shirt, I survived Terra Pass.
No escape room.
Some time ago I approached Columbia Clothing. I went into their store and I just liked what I saw. And I approached them and asked them if I could test and review some of their clothing. Not having done clothing before. They gave me jackets, a couple of jackets, some heavy ones, some light ones like this. Shirts, shorts, longs, boots, sunglasses. I've now been on 4 trips and used just their clothing. 1 trip in the UK and 4 in Southern Africa. I must say, first rate. Absolutely first class clothing. I mean, these shirts are so cool. They are so cool and so comfortable. Very, very nice. Columbia. You should go there. Well, there you have it. After a shameless plug for one of my sponsors, I'm going to let our guide, Wiley, plug his borehole anyway.
We are using a borehole which is about 150 meters deep, where we use the solar panels to pump water for us. We've got 2 solar panels. One is pumping it out of the ground and the other one is pushing up to the reservoir 6 kilometers from the borehole. And then the gravity is taking the water down to the lodge and the staff quarters.
We were warned about this. This is no doubt Terra Pass. The good part is that I don't have a door to open if I have to jump ship. "120 meters vertical drop. So that's 360 plus feet. Now I really am feeling vertigo. Wow, and the most amazing part about this is that when you're driving up here, road's rough and bumpy, you have no idea that this is in front of you, and suddenly wham, the car stops at the edge. What a place!
This is very unusual for us to see lots of water here, so it's seasonal.
Well, I've taken a break here. It's about 33, 34 degrees, mid-April, still quite warm. My recollection thoughts about Fish River, whenever I come here, this is now my 3rd visit. The other 2 times I enjoyed it, but I didn't kind of go around recommending that it was a fantastic place to visit. It didn't really stick out in my memory. But this experience on this side of the canyon, and particularly at Fish River Canyon Lodge, it's not an expensive lodge. It's comfortable. Food was very good. Our guide has been excellent. He knows the birds, knows the plants. Very, very good driver. But this experience now of the Fish River Canyon has changed my opinion of it forever. This has been a really, really great morning. I've enjoyed it immensely. But I did manage to trip Wiley up with his knowledge of canyons.
It is different because it's very different from all the other canyons, because it has got 2 layers. We call it the 2 canyons, the upper canyon and the lower canyon. As you can see down there, you can see the upper part, and then from the upper part there's a lower part, and then there's another lower part where the river is flowing. That's why it is different. Because if you look at the Grand Canyon, it just got this one drop down. That's why.
No, I don't think so. It's not obvious anyway. The home of the first Wiley, that of course is Wiley E. Coyote, is Arizona. And in Arizona is the Grand Canyon. And as far as I can see, it's multi-layered. But the experience is as different as it could ever be.
Okay, finally at Grand Canyon. I've been here for about an hour and a half. I've asked 4 people directions, and all I said to them was, there it is over there. I said, I want to see the canyon. Well, they could direct me to the hotels, the motels. They could direct me to the visitor centre and the shops and the fast food outlets. But none of them actually knew the way to the canyon. You know, I don't know if it's just me, but I've seen this in the United States before. There's some amazing places to visit, but they fail to deliver the experience. It's not just about the Grand Canyon. It's about being at the canyon. Anyway, I think maybe all this trouble, yes, I would say so. This trouble has been worth it.
My acute vertigo notwithstanding, it's time to take a peek over the edge. Surprisingly, it is possible to find such places like this here.
And there is graffiti everywhere. I figured it out. When I teach filmmaking and storytelling skills, one of the principles I expound again and again is the fact that audio is actually more important than video, and that beautiful images alone will not tell a great story. You have to have great audio because the audio creates the emotion. The emotion is delivered by the audio, not by the video. Same here. When you come and see this amazing place, the experience is incomplete because what do you hear? You hear buses, you hear cars, you hear lots of people. You hear the same sounds as you hear in a town. There's no difference. So part of you, part of me anyway, the emotion feels the same as if I was in a town. There's no difference. Does this incredible place make up for it? Not altogether. And that is why I think that experiences like this are so highly commercialized, and I understand why they do it. Millions of people come here every year, and of course they would, but that diminishes the experience. And to me, it's the downfall of places like this, and places like this do not appear on the top of my bucket list for that very reason. But I do really suggest that to experience the Grand Canyon at its best, you need to be up before the sun rises. Fewer people, it is quieter, and there is a real sense of wonder here, with the sheer size of this extraordinary geographic feature. And comparing it to the Fish River Canyon, the Fish River Canyon, in terms of its experience, is probably more because it's less commercialized and there are few people, but in terms of the vista and the size, it's a pebble. It is a pebble compared to the Grand Canyon.
Back in Namibia and back on the road. And it turned out Fish River Lodge does cater for the fly-in visitor. Now we head north, and our lodging for the night is at the Namib Desert Lodge. Just arrived at the Namib Desert Lodge. One thing interesting though, this water. The lady that served us lunch at the Lisbon Roadhouse, which was, I suppose 2 hours south of here, she has a little business. She lives on her own on that on that little farm, and they have fantastic spring water, and she bottles it and sells it to all the hotels in the area. So, cheers to you. And the lunch was good, so I really recommend the Lisbon Roadhouse. First good thing about Namib Desert Lodge, the barking geckos. Always a delight to me. Fortunately, there's also music from people's rooms. Let's go to dinner now and see how good the food is. All of the meals we've had at the various lodges have been game, kudu, springbok, and I think that's all if I remember correctly. So let's see how good this is. This is a goulash, and it's a buffet. Nice. Bit ordinary. Not particularly memorable, but nice. And the room is ordinary. And the pillow, certainly no feathers in it. No, not in that one either. So the pillows are ordinary. Pretty ordinary bathroom. It's about 1 hour from Soosvlei, which is the most popular, probably the most popular tourist destination in all of Namibia. But as I entered, I realized that this isn't a lodge at all. It's a hotel. It's just called a lodge because it's, in the bush. It's a hotel. 150 plus, I think it said 170 actually, plus beds. It's nice, yeah, but it's not a place that I would ever book for myself. Too many people. I'd much rather camp than stay in a place like this. Right now, it's very ordinary. To be honest, while this kind of place doesn't float my boat, it's pleasant, clean, the food's good, and it's a nice place to stay. Nothing wrong with it. However, this is what I've been really looking forward to. Namib Desert Lodge is actually a staging post for activities in the area, and we are now going to be taken on the activity that they boast about the most, an exclusive camp called Dune Star Lodge. And it's a great opportunity for me to give the Chevrolet Trailblazer a run in the dunes. See you there. As a general rule, you don't take your own vehicle to Dune Star Lodge. They actually, people at Namib Desert Lodge ferry clients to the dunes. In our case, of course, I wanted to test the vehicle, and we've got camera equipment and everything, and they've said, oh, bring your own vehicle, it's no problem at all. It's exclusive. I imagine it's expensive, and the maximum guests, I think they said, was 8. So fantastic for a small group to just be pampered by a small number of staff in an exclusive location. Wait. I've seen a tree. I've seen a very nice tree. This could be really nice for our DVD cover picture. Light's going to be right in about an hour's time, and I think, yes, let's let the tyre pressures down a bit. Okie dokie. Oh dear, that's better. Now, you might be wondering, what am I doing driving off-road here? Well, I got permission.
This desert is a very sensitive area, so there's very, very few places at all. We go off-road. At this dune that we've got here, this is a specialized dune that we keep specially for filming as well as for weddings. And we've got a track running up the backside and another track coming down the other side. So I've given you special permission to drive with the car up for a nice photo shoot on the top.
And I thought that this would be a good place to see how the Trailblazer would do on the dunes. But I was wrong. It's too easy, it's not testing the car even slightly. I've got a long format, got the name at the top, name at the bottom. It's actually very nice. It's actually very nice.
The light is absolutely beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Let me try graduated filter on the... See the title at the top?
Yeah.
And then another small title at the bottom.
Yeah.
Eh? It's quite nice, eh?
That is brilliant.
How you see the image here is without colorization. It's as it's been shot. The interesting warm hue is as a result of two things. Firstly, I only ever use auto white balance when there are multiple light sources, which is obviously not the case here. Auto white balance would flatten the scene, and that's just what I don't want. So I've set white balance on cloudy. That's 6000 Kelvin. Daylight is about 5200 Kelvin. This will have the effect of warming the midtones and the shadows. Then I've added a polarizing filter. It will deepen the blacks and darken the sky when shooting away from the sun.
Oh, yeah.
It's better, hey?
Oh, yeah.
Shanti's idea.
And lastly, I've added a neutral density graduated filter to darken the sky even more.
Oh, that is a shot.
And the car's framed.
That is a shot.
Well, there you go.
Apart from helping getting the shot, Shanti knows her way around a desert as well.
Okay, so here we've got a house of a white lady spider, the very special desert spiders. And she's just been cleaning a bit of house, and that's where I can see where the tracks is. She's been sweeping the front porch a little bit. I'm just going to blow around it and then show you what the tunnel looks like. Okay, so if I lift that little trapdoor, you can actually see the little tunnel inside. So as this one is not maintained, I can dig this tunnel out and show you what it looks like. There you can see the actual pearls of the silk, 10 or 12 sand grains bound together. And this is all made by silk from the spider web. This is the outside of the tunnel, and if I show you the inside, there you see the actual spider web. And what I've dug out here takes this spider about 5 or so hours to do. Quite something amazing of nature. One of the things that makes a dune star camp most amazing for myself is the landscapes here. In most images you can find either dunes or grass savannas and mountains. In this area you actually find 5 different vegetation habitats in one shot. We've got the normal dunes of the current Namib desert. We've got the fossilized dunes in the background belonging to the old Tsondap desert, more than 30 million years old. We've got grass plains, sometimes filled with springbok and oryx. And we've got riverbeds, again with their own ecology, as well as we've got the Inselberg, or the mountains that you find. And the view from up here is absolutely exquisite. On a very, very clear winter's day, we can see mountains that I've traced, that I've checked, is about 47 kilometers directly away from us. And we can watch all the way across these plains. And this is one of the things that makes a dune star camp most amazing. And then at night, the clear skies, the astronomy that you get, it is absolutely majestic to see this landscape. It's something you can describe to anyone. It's just something you have to experience yourself.
As the sun sets, colours turn from vivid and bright to muted watercolour tones. Peace settles over the desert.
Well, little plain, but they did think of something very clever. I'm wondering where I should sleep tonight. Oh yeah, I'm going to sleep in the bed. I am going to sleep in the bed. I mean, I'm not going to sleep on the floor. I mean, as much as I would like to sleep outside, it's a bit ridiculous, really. Unless I can pull the bed outside. How's that? That was smart thinking. I've woken up. It's just after 4 in the morning. the Milky Way galaxy is absolutely extraordinary. My video camera won't capture it, but my still camera will. And lying underneath this, first half of the night was a bit disturbed. The moon was incredibly bright. You probably could have read with it, but now the night is very, very black. A few moths around being attracted by the light, and a few mosquitoes. A gentle breeze is actually keeping the mosquitoes away. It's such a rare treat to sleep under the stars. Doesn't happen that often, but it is so special. Not looking forward to tomorrow. Not because tomorrow isn't going to be a great day. It's going to be a great day. It's just this. What's happening right now. Pretty special. Well, it's daybreak, first light. What a night. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant night. The stars, just fantastic. Such a memorable night. Up at first light. The sun is rising in the east. I think it is. Well, one thing was good though. We had an alarm call this morning from the hotel. Zebra calls. Yeah. But it wasn't a zebra at all. It was this.
I can do the stallion and the foal.
Okay, go for it. What was that?
The stallion.
And the foal?
Yesterday, when driving to the camp, Shanti showed me how she can also confuse the local bird life. That's not the birds calling, that's Shanti calling.
I need to get camping now. I'm a little bit tired of lodges. I need to, in fact that's what we're going to do from now on for a few days. I like camping because I like the freedom of what to eat, where to eat, how to eat, not having to kind of dress up in any way at all. Just the freedom of camping. The trouble is, of course, rarely do you get a camping site in a location as sublime as this. So every now and again, this kind of treat is really, really worth it.
Heading south. And as nice as the pampering from hotels like the Nest has been, I'm glad to be back on the road again with no particular itinerary in mind.
I stated quite emphatically yesterday that it was very, very difficult for overlanders and people who love camping to find locations that are sublime. Well, I'm afraid I have to take it back. On our way south, we popped into Namtib, a camping site on a relatively lonely road heading south. And this is it.
It's a chance for me to try out my new instant tent. It's a Kestrel from Camtech, and I've got a new chair as well. It does feel good to be back in the bush again.
This is the D707. It's a lesser used road, and to me it epitomizes the wonder of traveling in Namibia. Most of it's like this, dead straight, these long lines of fences, long lines of yellow grass next to the road, enormous blue skies, and it's just brilliant. And in fact it's so nice, one feels once you've completed the trip you almost feel like turning around and do it again just for the joy of driving it. Now last night we stayed at Namtib. Namtib is a privately owned little biosphere in the Black Mountains. Namtib must be one of the most beautiful designated campsites I've ever stayed at. It's certainly in the top 5. So if you're heading north or south, stay west. The road actually butts up against the Speergebied. That's the forbidden area of the Atlantic coast. The scenery is fantastic and the places to stay absolutely sensational.
Apart from the splendid campsite, Namib offers basic lodge accommodation with a small restaurant as well. I'll be back, you can count on that. If anyone was to search all of southern Africa for the most bleak, forsaken, desolate and unpromising stretch of road, it would surely be this one. This is the road from Aus to Lüderitz, heading west towards the Atlantic. This road cuts directly through the Speergebied, the forbidden area. The reason why it is forbidden is because diamonds still lie scattered even over the surface of this area. So one is not allowed off the road. I'm actually not permitted to walk any further than I am right now. Being as desolate as it is means it's also a wonderful opportunity for photographers. Belying the road that leads to it, Lüderitz is really worth a visit, if only to eat some of their oysters, purported to be amongst the best in the world. We shall see about that. This is Sharks Island. This is the designated camping spot in Lüderitz. I've been here several times. It's always a bit dirty. It's never particularly full of campers, so there are nice camping spots on the sea on both sides of the island. And today it's not very windy, but don't let that fool you. The wind howls here. And to arrive as we've done on a windless day, it's, 1 in 50 days. There isn't much wind. The rest of the time it's very, very windy. This is the Nest Hotel. We're staying there. This is probably the most luxurious accommodation available in Lüderitz. There are camping sites and there are plenty of other B&Bs. But Lüderitz has changed. It's growing. It even has its own waterfront. Neat and clean and, well, frankly unpretentious, it's an ideal place for an evening meal and a sundowner. Time to take in one of Lüderitz's tourist attractions. That's the drive around the peninsula. Bartholomew Dias in the 16th century. Oh, look at that great big grasshopper. Wanted to make sure that this land was, well, Portuguese, claimed for Portugal. So he erected crosses, several of them, up the coast. Oh, I better concentrate here. These wooden slats here are a bit dodgy. Definitely not health and safety compliant. You know, we in England complain about health and safety. We know that it's sometimes absurd, but sometimes actually it works. Because, this bridge is very dodgy. In the 13th century, Bartholomew Dias, I think he wanted to make sure that his country, Portugal, would be remembered as a great nation of explorers. Because this is not the only cross on this coastline. There are several. I'm actually not sure how many. There is one about 300-400 kilometers north of here, next to a place called Cape Cross. Named Cape Cross because of another Dias cross erected close to the shoreline. And this is the other Dias cross, located a couple of days sailing north of here. So before I leave Lüderitz, I've got to try some of their oysters. But who better to help me enjoy them but a local oyster farmer? Now understand, and I will not tell you who told me this, but the Lüderitz oyster is the second best in the world.
No, I don't believe that. I think the Lüderitz oyster is the best in the world. That's obviously our belief. Lüderitz oysters are special because we have very, very clean waters in Lüderitz. Very few impacts that affect quality in a negative way. Right. We have very cold waters and a lot of plankton, but obviously there's other parts in the world that have faster growing oysters. We like the way our oysters grow. They grow slowly in cold water. So that's our quality.
And where in the world do they end up? What cities do they end up in?
Nowadays, Lüders oysters go anywhere in the world. I think there's a big market at the moment in China. So a lot of oysters are even sold to China.
Should we try what we have here? And
Yes, let's give it a go.
now, I'm not a connoisseur of oysters, but I do so enjoy them.
Why not? And what's the verdict?
That is exceptionally good.
Yeah. Yep, Tabasco is good. The pepper on a raw oyster just give that special flavor.
Yes, just a little bit.
Sorry, no time to talk now. Talk amongst yourselves.
It's a calm life. You live the life of a farmer in town, and you care for animals, but you also care for the